Hello all, BL Carter here, affectionately known as Miss B, hoping that you're still working toward putting your puzzle pieces together. And I know I did another video on the government shutdown, and that one was targeting more so the agenda, the behind the scenes, the biblical prophecy, or, you know, call it what you want to call it. I don't know. I just put it out there for you guys to think and see how things operate. This particular video is to speak directly to some of the stuff I've been hearing from people. So we just go right on in it. Let's make no mistake. This shutdown has the potential to create, it has already started creating loss to many, I mean massive amount of people. And what's happening? Those people are being punished for the acts of a few. So we're going to punish the masses for what a few people have done wrong instead of dealing with those few people. And I just listed a few here. First, we talk about the undeserving, cheating ones, the ones who are getting services who and benefits who are not eligible. So they don't deserve them, they're not eligible for them, and they're cheating, milking the system to get free stuff. And it really bothers me to hear so many people talk about the welfare queens, speaking specifically of the black women who's sitting back getting free stuff and too lazy to get up and go to work or whatever the case may be. Well, I ask how many of us, I'm not going to say us, I will not say us today because I was not a part of this. How many of you all gave her that mindset of entitlement? Or I asked the government, and this might have been before Trump's time in office, but the collective government, how many of you all did things along the way to give her that entitlement mindset? From the plans that have been in place targeting blacks and the black family for generations. But decades, because I've not been alive for many generations, so I'll say for decades. That's in my lifetime. From the housing, positioning them into certain neighborhoods, education, not preparing them to be competitive, the food, the health care, the vaccinations, all of that, you name it. And for those who make it through all of that and get to the college level, then conveniently no money for them to go to school to do any better. And if by chance they make it through that and they hit a life hiccup, instead of you sending out a helping hand for them, you do everything you can to keep them down there forever and a day. That's government. That's people. Collectively have done this to some of these entitlement feeling people that are sitting here getting services. That's the reality. You own that. Own it. Because you sat back when Sister Girl said, no, I don't want to go out on a date with you because I want to go to school. I have dreams. I have aspirations. You dogged her out. And next Sister Girl come along, you dog her out. Eventually, Sister Girls realize, well, they can't have a man or a companion in their lives and go for the goal. And since many of them are starving for love, they chose to go for the companionship and take lesser and work lesser jobs than they're capable of. Chances are companies shut down, they get laid off, they miss a couple days, whatever, get fired, who knows, whatever the circumstance. And then they learn to live off the system. And then they learn to become good at it. But think about your role. But let's flip that. Let's get away from blacks totally. What about the white folk? They're living off the system. I don't hear anybody talking about those welfare queens. Now, I've been advocating for people in impoverished situations and various situations most of my adult life. I've personally witnessed white female kicked back with her children, 2 or 3 kids, her boyfriend living in the place with her. She's collecting a welfare check. She's getting Medicaid. She's getting Section 8 where they're paying 99% of her rent and giving her a utility check to pay her utility bills. Ain't shit wrong with her. She ain't even tried to fake disability papers. But she's sitting back on her behind collecting. And the boyfriend living up in the house with her. At the same time, I see what? Black folk in that same area, that same jurisdiction, I don't want to call the name of the location, black folk in that same jurisdiction can't get too much of nothing. Because they being run through with a fine-tooth dig-on comb. I remember 2 black people in that particular location, state workers, state employees. They had some health issues, whatever, and so they have to stop working for a while, deal with the health. I remember day in and day out going to one particular person's home, helping them. Because although a whole bunch of other people were eligible for assistance, this particular woman wasn't. So there was no one that would come to her home and help make sure she had food or her medicine or transportation to get her back and forth to the doctors. And she was, this one person I'm thinking of was, she worked in a medical examiner's office where they did the autopsies. She was an assistant, medical examiner assistant, I think was the term. And she's turned down for stuff. She can get nothing. Not food stamps, not housing assistance, nothing. Now, she was able to get into a low-income housing place. And they adjusted her rent based on her new income. Well, it was unemployment. So, yeah, based on her new income, she had to move, though. So she had to incur the expense of moving, which means she had to borrow money in order to be able to move into a neighborhood that, she wasn't living in before, and that's okay. It's all well and good. But a mile away, 2 miles away, you got white girl here with her 2 or 3 kids, her live-in boyfriend, and he working at one of the businesses in the area, and he's making a regular check. He's making enough to pay to take care of them fully. And they just living large. They going buying shrimp and crabs and, whatever else. They're not buying bologna and cheese and hamburger meat for dinner. They buying enough stuff to do 3 4-course meals if they want. Because the benefits are coming to them. So be careful when we sit here talking about all these so-called welfare queens. And remember to say it correctly. Don't continue to propagate the stereotype that these welfare queens are a whole bunch of black women. Because it's not. It's a whole bunch of non-black women sitting back welfare queening too. But while we at it, let's talk about some of these black women that are getting these benefits. How many of them really need the benefits? How many of them are educated with degrees? Couldn't find a job. Or they found a job, but it wasn't enough to sustain, so they need 1 or 2 of these programs. I listed several down there to make ends meet. How many of them use none of those programs, but they had some health challenges? And we know with our medical system here in the U.S., it's designed to keep you sicker and sicker and sicker. It ain't designed to help you get better. So how many of those who, the women who needed none of these programs, had some kind of health challenge? Had insurance, did everything doctors told them to do, and they continued to get sicker to the point where they had to go on these programs. They had to stop work and go on these programs while they're trying to figure out their health. So while we sitting here talking about the welfare queen is getting all these things, how many of y'all went to her and said, hey sis, I know you used to work and you were bringing home the money and you and didn't need none of these programs. What's going on? And she'll tell you, oh yeah, she's got these health issues. How many of you said, okay, well, if I gave you this old car that I've got in my garage to help you get it fixed up, and you can go ahead and let your car go. You might have a repo on your record, but that'll be less money that you have to worry about, and you can focus on something else. How many of you have done that? Or how many have said, you know what? I know you need help, and I know, it's just a matter of groceries. So I'll come over. You got a house, you've got some yard space. If you want, I'll help you plant a garden to grow some of your food, if that's what it takes. How many of y'all did that? None. I won't say none. I'd say very few. Leave the women alone. What about the men? How many men sitting back milking the system? Black and white. Both races. But by the same token, how many men are using the system and need the system? How many men gave a real shot at life? Made a conscious effort, and for whatever reason were emasculated, were dogged out, were put down, were pink slipped out, and had to turn for benefits. And so they're milking the system too, because the jobs are not there, or for whatever reason the circumstances are not there. And that's not all of them, but there are enough of them. And what bothers me is that we continue to lose the honest people in this process. We continue to want to make the honest people wear the label of the dishonest people. And there are too many honest people out here who have really tried, who are really deserving, who've done what they're supposed to do, and they're getting lost in the shuffle. They're paying the price for dishonest people. Got to think about the government misappropriation of funds. Now let's remember, when Trump came in office, he came in and his first goal, I won't say his first goal, but one of the things he's been focused on since he's been in office, and actually was prior to him as well, was to cut out a lot of these services. From day one, he has wanted to do what? Get rid of Medicaid, Medicare, so all these entitlement programs is what they call it. And it was prior to him. It wasn't just him. It was prior to him. Keep saying get rid of all these entitlement programs. Why? Let's talk about some of these programs. Medicaid. Yeah, technically you can call that entitlement because you don't pay into it. It's just something that's given. Medicare. Now, before I get to Medicare, on the Medicaid side, there's also what they call children's health insurance. So parents who are working, who have a certain income level, you don't actually get Medicaid. You get children's Medicaid or children's health insurance, and it varies by state. But basically, you pay an insurance premium just the same as any other insurance premium. Now, you don't pay as much because it's subsidized by the government, but you do pay into it. So it's not total free, as they would want y'all to believe. Some of these people that were on children's Medicaid, their parents were paying, and it's income based. There's some guidelines and some percentage of the income, whatever it is. I don't know the formula, but they were paying toward it. And every time their child went to the doctor, there was a copay. If it was $1, if it was $5, $10, whatever it was, there was a copay. Every time they got a prescription for their kids, there's a copay. Whether it's 10 cents, $10, whatever it is, there was a copay. So do me a favor, keep that in mind when we talk about all these people sitting back getting for free. Medicare. And Medicare is not an entitlement program, never has been. The people on Medicare have been paying for it out of their check the whole time that they work. Medicare is usually for those who have worked and are on disability now, or those who are retired. That's how you get Medicare. Plus, you pay a premium $140, $150 every month to keep your Medicare going. So it's insurance. It's the same insurance, just like everyone else has to have some kind of insurance, whether it's Humana, Kaiser, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, whatever. Medicare's insurance. And the ones who are on it pay a premium every month. And they pay co-pays every time they go to a doctor. And they pay medicine. And I've seen Medicare patients pay as high as $20, $30 and even more for some medicines, because Medicare is what they've done is a whole lot of medicines they're not even paying for. So you may have the insurance, you may can go to the doctor, but then you can't afford the prescription. SNAP, yeah, that's a free program. But how many non-black people sit back and max out on SNAP? How many people get SNAP and don't really deserve it? Have we ever actually identified that? No, we just stick everybody in the label. Well, guess what? Those same Medicare people are probably needing SNAP. If you're Medicare, Medicaid eligible, you probably need SNAP to some degree. Whether it's $100, whether it's $300, you probably need SNAP because food has gotten ridiculously high. And if you're on Medicare for disability, then you definitely need SNAP because chances are the regular food in the grocery store is not helping you medically. And so you're going to have to pay a little bit more to eat a little bit more healthier just to stay alive. And that SNAP benefits, you know, if it's $100, that's $100 going toward the cause, if you will. But one of my questions with SNAP is, how many people have we thought about that are doing everything they can to try to position themselves to not be on any of those programs? And let's say, we'll pick a female. Let's say she decides to keep some kids in the home with her. She decides to babysit, you know, her neighbor's kids while the neighbor's working. So the neighbor has a little boy and a little girl, you know, 1 and 4, whatever the age is. Pick some ages. So for an extra $75 a week, she's watching those kids. What is she doing with that $75? Is she getting her medicine? Is she helping to get caught up on some bills? Is she putting money towards some education training program that she wants to do? Or is she managing to keep up the bills in her household every month just barely using that $75? Not all of them are taking that $75 down to Atlantic City and gambling it off. Just because 1 or 2 might be doing it, the rest of them most likely are not. But what do we want to do? When we find out that she's getting this little $75, we want to hang her out to dry and say, oh, how she's cheating and milking the system. But truth be told, if the system helped her truly, gave her enough services truly, and if she had a plan to leave the services totally, then she can get away from it. I've been a firm believer of that all along. If we give people the resources that they need, the ones who want it, give them the resources that they need for the time period that they need it to work through whatever the plan may be, and of course they'd have to give you a plan on paper, then they won't need any of these services. But guess what? The government has a program like that. They don't tell most people about it. It's selective who they tell. And the ones that do find out, if you don't fit their unwritten criteria for approval, you don't get approved for it. But there's extra funds, and those funds will go to those people. People who are on some of these various programs but have desire to get off of them, and they have plans. And you just write out a plan. I have a desire to not be on any of these programs, or to, you know, if I'm on 5 of them, I have a desire to just only go down to maybe 1, maybe just Section 8 assistance and not need anything else, or maybe just Medicare only and not need anything else. In order for me to get there, I need transportation, and I need to take, I don't know, this particular class, this class on, you know, how to run a laundromat or something. I don't know, pick a class. And so you write it all up, and you go into that office, and you give them that plan, and they're supposed to look at you and say, oh, excellent, great. Let's verify everything, and if everything checks out, then yeah, we'll give you, in essence they do. It's roundabout how they do it, but in essence they do give you most of the funds to help get that done. you have to have some sweat equity in it as well. So you have to put something into it. And oftentimes those people work whatever little jobs they can work. If it's odd jobs here and there, anything they can do to, to make their share of it. But then you wind up with your education, and you wind up with your little piece of car and the insurance and, some decent tires or oil change or whatever it is to make sure the car's running decent. And 6 months, a year down the road, you're ready to leave their program and go run your laundromat. As well, you've left all the other programs behind as well. Or you may stay on their programs through a transition period of 2 or 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, as you're, transitioning from, one thing into a next. And as your new career or your new business or whatever it is getting off the ground, you're transitioning off those other programs. Government's been had that program in place, but they're selective about who they've allowed to use the program. So when they sit there and have people thinking all of these welfare queens sitting back getting nothing, I personally, anybody can call me anytime they want, I can personally tell you people that I've recommended to go apply for that particular program and how many of them have been turned down. And then I can tell you how many were black and how many were not. And the ones that were approved and the ones that were not approved. That's what I personally can tell you. And I've not talked to all the other people around the country who know about the program or who've been referring people for the program, because I haven't talked to them to get their stats and what they, witnessed directly with the people that they deal with. But I know what the ones that I deal with. That's what I witnessed firsthand myself. People are told, if you don't meet the unwritten criteria that is determined by whoever's sitting at that desk when you walk in there, and y'all fill in the blanks about what the unwritten criteria may or may not be, they turn you away. They tell you, no, you're not eligible. I had somebody come, they told me I'm not eligible. I said, yes, you are. Well, no, go back. And as a matter of fact, I pulled the policy for that person and said, here, take them this policy. They probably don't know, so that way, they see the policy, they can go ahead and process your stuff so you can, get what you need, and, 2 years down the road, we're going to be celebrating your independence from the government. That person was still turned down. So this is what's going on while we sitting here talking about people milking the system. So they had to do what? They had children. They had to rely on the system, and at the same time, what about a stab to their desire to do better? That is a major blow to their desire, their effort to do better. When they're sat and told no, knowing they're eligible, knowing other people are getting the benefits, and they're told no. They're not told because you run out of money. They're not told because we only take the first 5 people a year. They're not told, some logistical something. They're just told, no, you're not eligible, knowing that they are. Government misappropriation of funds. How much money has the government put someplace other than where it was supposed to go? How much money have they put someplace where it wasn't supposed to go? And I have to wonder how much that's playing a role in all of this. And I realize I was talking about some of the programs down there, and I'm going to get to some of them again in just a minute. Tantrums. Somebody's having a temper tantrum. I can't get my way, so I'm going to shut the government down. I'm going to make the people pay the price because you won't give me what I want. It's a daggone 2-year-old tantrum. And if you were a 2-year-old, I'd take a belt myself and bust your little behind. But what about division? For how many years have we been divided? We, as a people, as a nation. Yes, 9/11, back in 2001, we all came together during that time. Although most of us fell for the okie doke early on, and it took us some time to start kind of getting a different mindset. But we all fell for the okie doke, and we stood together, one united front, no matter what your race, your religion, your creed, anything. We all stood together on that. But we were divided in other ways. And then we still got back to being divided. You're black, I'm white. You're rich, I'm poor. You live in that neighborhood, I live over here. And truth be told, the people that are faring better have a duty to help the ones that are not faring better. Let me clarify that. That doesn't mean you have to go pay somebody else's bills. But it means you have to speak up. So if you happen to be on the side of the division line that benefits or has benefited from various programs along the way, you have a duty. When you have people like your current leaders standing up saying, no, shut the programs down and make these people figure out life on their own, etc., etc., you have a duty to go to that leader and say no. Because you know these divisions helped you. And if you really want those people to get better or to do better on their own, then you have a duty to tell your leader to give them the same resources so that they can do better. But, you know, that's the division. We've all been distracted. I'm going to say we, because I ain't distracted no more. It's a long time I haven't been distracted. But many have been distracted. We distracted with this wall right now from a temper tantrum. We distracted with race. We're distracted. The Republicans and Democrats, I'm tired of hearing the Dems this, the Republicans this, the Liberals this, the Conservatives this, back and forth, back and forth. It's that, and all of this mess is going on behind the scenes with our government and our country and our health and our children and our families, our economy, our GDP. But we busy worried about whether somebody's a liberal or a conservative. I personally don't agree with abortion. No, I don't. But you know what? If the government has decided that women can go have abortions, let them go have abortions. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I ain't having one, and my children ain't having one. You go out there, like my daddy said, you be woman enough to make that baby, you be woman enough to take care of it. I ain't finna have no abortion. That's not my fight. That is their body. That is their issue with their maker, their creator. The government gave them permission to do it, so there's no legal issue involved, and I'm out of it. What are some of the other political, the global warming? We're arguing about global warming. We're arguing about flat earth versus round earth. We're arguing about abortions. We're arguing, and we got kids being trained up to be okay with adults molesting them. Pedophilia in process. We've got people who are being snatched up left and right. Folk who are being shot down dead on the street left and right by our government agents. Police, are they not agents of the government? But we so busy fighting because you're liberal and I'm conservative? Are we fighting because you're black and I'm white? It's sad. It is so daggone sad. And yeah, I get the whole black thing of not wanting to kumbaya or align with white folk, black and brown folk, yellow folk, whatever you want to call it. I get the reason why, but I also realize we're all in this boat together. And just like when you were growing up and you had siblings, y'all fought amongst each other, but when it came time to fight an outsider, you stood together and you fought together against that outsider. And to me, that's what should have been happening in this country. Yeah, I'm black, you white, we don't have to get along. But you know what? The government is trying to enact a law that's going to hurt both of us. It might hurt the black first, but it's coming to the white later. So we need to stand together and fight this law that they're trying to enact. And once we get that taken care of, then we can go back to not getting along with each other if we want to. That's what should have been happening. But no, we're so busy, so stuck on the fact that you're black, I'm white, you're liberal, I'm conservative, you want a wall, I don't want a wall. And how many people are going to suffer for it? Is anybody thinking about the corrupt staff? You know, the ones that work in these offices that know people are ineligible for benefits? but giving them every daggone thing they can find to give them. And at the same time, know people coming in there eligible for more but won't give them or won't even tell them about it. They're making their own decisions. I've seen it with my own two eyes. Caseworkers sitting there sizing people up based on what that caseworker thinks. Forget about what the policy says. If that caseworker thinks you don't need it, then you don't get it. And they'll do whatever the hell they can in your case to make sure you don't get it. But at the same time, if that caseworker thinks you deserve it, that caseworker makes sure you get whatever program that you're eligible for. I've witnessed this myself. Yeah, but everyone's going to be punished because you got some corrupt caseworkers. What about the ones who are ill-trained? What about the ones, because I understand there's a high turnover rate, they have overworked, high caseloads. New person comes in, they get 2-3 days of training and they're thrown to the wolves. Sink or swim. And they're making mistakes. Instead of coming back and having good management staff to go over their stuff and help train them properly, you got management staff not doing. Or for whatever reason, the mark is missed in that area. So we've got overworked, all these things that are failing along the way. Every step of the way in the system is failing. So we punish the people for it instead of dealing with the system in place. Now back to some of these programs. WIC, yeah, that's a free program. Last I knew, WIC was about to be cut out anyway. Why was it being cut out? Because, as was told to me directly by someone from the USDA food, or the federal level food department, not enough people are using it. They're having a surplus. And so since they keep having a surplus, not enough people using it, they're just going to phase out the program totally. Take those funds and put it somewhere else. Okay? Section 8. Not all the queens sitting back on Section 8 are undeserving or cheating, milking the system. I've worked directly, and I promise you, I've seen some. I have seen it with my own two eyes. I remember one I helped. I myself helped them. And then when I found out that what they were doing, I took my hands off of it. And they eventually, you know, came off, and I don't know what they did in life, but they eventually came off the program. Actually, I think they got kicked off or something or whatever. But the first time they came to me with a sob story, I helped them get their stuff squared away, get Section 8 benefits, and then I saw what they were doing. So yes, there are some. But by the same token, there are a whole lot more who are not doing. There are a whole lot more who are maintaining the units that they're in, who are paying the rent like they're supposed to, who are trying to do their part to get away from the program totally. But ain't nobody saying anything about how we've allowed these rents to get ridiculously high. I've gone with people looking for places to rent on Section 8, and these landlords are offering them rat roach infested places. The walls ain't even painted. You've got carpet stained all over the daggone place. The smell of mold all in there, or the smell of, you know, dog feces smell like the dogs lived in there for 10 years straight without any ventilation. And that's what the people got to live in. Really? And we talk about the queen, you know, she's living large because she's living on Section 8, living in that. And she got to take her babies in that. And that might have been the only thing that was available. It was either that or on the street. And so she probably did what? Opened those windows, put some bleach all over the place, went and out of her own pocket and bought some paint to maybe try to paint the wall a little bit and try to make it into home while she's trying to work a plan to get away. We don't give her credit for that. We just say she's a queen, getting stuff for free. What about the ones I go back to the ones who worked. I think I mentioned this already. People who did work or who still do work, but the income's not enough. Or the ones who worked and for whatever reason are in various circumstances and need the benefit. Do we position them to max out? And I go back to max out all of these programs that they're eligible for. If you target their issue from all the directions and they have a plan and a desire to get away from them, within a short time frame, they are gone and away permanently. But if you nickel and dime them, yeah, I'll give you Section 8, but I'm not giving you any of the other programs. And if you get in Section 8 and all the other programs, then you're a welfare queen. She's fighting. He's fighting. Whoever it is fighting tooth and nail trying to get better. And we all know these programs are not designed to help people get better. They were put in place to keep them down. They did what they were supposed to do. And as I'm sitting here saying this, so now I come to the realization they did what they were supposed to do. Destroyed the family, kept people down, got them in an entitlement mindset, got them totally dependent on them, where they can't function without them, and now we're going to take the programs away and let them just perish. Wow. Wow. And that's the country we live in. SSI, I have to mention this. Yeah, SSI is free. You don't have to put into the system for it. All you have to do is have some sort of condition. Well, let me ask you. These doctors that are signing off saying that, something's wrong with these folk. Did you look at them? If these people are not medically, something's medically wrong with them, is anybody targeting the doctors that are signing off saying that they are? And the last I checked, before you can get SSI, you have to do a Social Security doctor as well. Your personal medical records are not enough. You have to go through their doctor. Their doctors have to look through, have to check you and check your medical records and verify everything. So, but what about the ones that are legitimate? What about the ones that are legitimate? They're going to suffer as well. SSDI. That's Social Security disability. Those are people that have worked and paid into the system. They get that little $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 check every month. Why? Because that's what they worked and paid into the system for. They're not lazy, they're not shiftless, and it ain't a damn handout. It's theirs. That's the retirement that they were putting away. They're getting a portion of it now while they're still living. Ain't nothing entitlement about that. But people don't pay attention to the differences and they lump them all in one category. Cash benefits, yeah, that's a handout. That is an entitlement. And there would be some, yes, that are undeserving, probably cheating, milking the system. But I go back to all the staff along the way, those checks and balances that should have been there that weren't being done. But we're going to punish the people for it. All the ones who did right, who did good. We're going to punish them for the few that did wrong. I remember another family as I'm thinking about it. Eligible for cash benefits. And they'd gone to the social service office for, I think, food stamps they went to apply for. And they were eligible for Medicaid, for cash benefits, they were eligible for a whole bunch of stuff. But they went just for food because they were like, well, okay, my kids need to eat. Well, I can go ahead and say it was a she. My kids need to eat, and let me get their food taken care of, and then I'll figure out something. That caseworker didn't even tell her. And I went, see, I took her to the office, and that's how I know this. I took her because she didn't even know where the office was. So we went and found the office together that day. And I was there with her. She said she was there to apply for food stamps. They gave her the paperwork. She filled out it. Then they take you in a back room and they interview you or whatever it is. She told that woman what she was dealing with. And it was very clear that she needed the cash benefits. That woman never even signed her up for the cash benefits. Food stamps, and that was it. And this woman happened to be what was it? She was working, she'd lost her job, and she was on unemployment. And then, I guess in transition from one job to the next, she needed the help. Matter of fact, that woman told her to sell her house. Now the client was a homeowner. They worked. They had, furniture, house, car, nothing extravagant. Just, regular a mortgage instead of rent. A car, and I think the car note was reasonable, like $300 or $400. Some regular. It was a regular car. It wasn't some top of the line Mercedes Benz or Maybach or something like that. No, it was a regular old Toyota, Honda, Chevy, some little 4-door or something. Yeah, that woman told her to sell her house. And I think her house, again, it wasn't no major house, but I think her mortgage payment was like $800 or something like that. 8 something. So she told her to sell her house, and if she sold her house, then she could probably get, which was a lie. Then she could get cash benefits. That wasn't true. I looked at the policy later. That girl was eligible for cash benefits then. But the caseworker told her to sell her house, and then if she got an apartment, her apartment would be like $7 something a month. Then they could help her more. So sell the house that you worked and bought and paying into, been buying for, however many years, with the $800 and something mortgage for a temporary job loss situation, and you've run out of money because all your savings has run out and you have not gotten, a good job back again. So now you're going for help. And that's another thing. She didn't go the day she lost her job and got unemployment. I think she finally went to them like about 4 months later when when her money was ran out. That's when she went to them. But that doesn't matter, because all y'all know is she came for the benefits, so she wants for free too. And the fact that she has a home means she wants to milk the system. It's ridiculous. But this is what has been going on. CPS has been pulling money from Social Security for years. That office that comes and snatches up kids for various reasons. Like one family I can think of, mother and father went on vacation, left the kids with the grandparents back here in the States. They went down to the Caribbean where they were. Marijuana is legal, so they got their little drink on, they got their little smoke on, whatever the case may be. Come back. I think one of them has to, somehow there's a drug test involved. I don't know if it's work or something, but for some reason they have to do a drug test, and it comes, dirty or positive for marijuana. And there goes the state. The state gets involved because the state has all these mandatory reporters. Snatch up their kids. So money for Social Security that people have been working and paying into is being taken from Social Security and used to go snatch up kids who didn't need to be snatched up. Yeah, it's been going on. And when they snatch them up and take them out of the home, then they have to pay somebody foster care to take care of them. And that's all federal money. Well, not all. Most of it is federal money. And that federal money is coming from where? Out of Social Security. So when they tell you Social Security is running out of money, this is why it's running out of money. Because they're taking your money that you worked and put into the system, and they're using it to tear down and destroy families around the country. Education. It's going to take a hit too. All these programs are going to take a hit. And all of this is why? Because we have a few people that are cheating and milking the system, and we won't deal with them. We won't target them. Because we have a few corrupt or poorly trained or overworked caseworkers in the different offices. Instead of dealing with our policies and our staff, we're going to punish the people. We have a government that's probably misappropriated some funds somewhere and, don't want to own up to it. So they're going to do all this shutdown. I don't know if they're doing it to make up the funds. I don't know what they're doing. But bottom line, it's wrong all the way around. But I know I'm sick of hearing all you people sitting here talking about how, and not all you people, as in a particular race or whatever, but all the ones who are sitting there saying, oh, welfare queens, your ride is over, your food stamps is over, your Section 8 is over, your Medicaid, all this free stuff is over, because a lot of them earned every bit of what they got. In case you didn't know, the medical system that we have here helps to keep people sick, helps to keep people down. And one last thing, and then I'm going to get off of here. They do go back to work. Government comes back up. Everything gets going. Of course, everyone won't be on the programs. So what are they going to do? Who gets to decide who gets benefits and who doesn't? Who gets to decide? Because I even heard somebody talk about how they're faking, pretending disabled. Who gets to decide who's faking and who's not? I personally know, again, being an advocate in the social service field, and it's a broad field, I personally know people in receiving all these benefits. Not all, one person receiving all, but I know different people receiving all these different benefits. Because I've helped them in some way. Helped them fill out paperwork, helped them get to an office, gave them a ride, made some calls, whatever it was. I've personally done it and been doing it for years. So I'm seeing at the ground level, on Main Street level, what some people are doing. And the vast majority of people that I've worked with are not milking the system trying to get something for free. Most of them don't even want to go get the benefits. Most of them would almost rather be on the street with their kids instead of getting the benefits. But if they did that, they run the risk of CPS snatching their kids. So they humble themselves. They go in these offices. They get the help. They go through a little process to make sure that they're not in danger of losing their kids to CPS while they're trying to inch by inch their way back up and out of it. And don't let them mess around and, like I said, work and take care of the next door neighbor's kids, or have a garage sale and sell all the unnecessary stuff in their apartment or their house and make, $1,000 in their garage sale. Now, every single program that they're on is going to try to cut them off and say they're over income because they had a garage sale and came up with $1,000 from their stuff. Stuff that they probably bought long before they were on any of these daggone programs. So the programs weren't used to buy the stuff. Let's say, you sold your bedroom. I'm looking. You sold your big TV or your bedroom furniture or your the diamond ring that your grandmother passed down to you or something. Who knows? To get the money. But because you now have that money, we're going to cut you off these programs because you're not eligible. That's what's been going on. And they do it for us. They do it for the ones that have desire to get off the programs. The ones that had no desire to get off the programs, they weren't pushing them in no way. They were feeding them more and more and more. The ones that were trying to get off were the ones that were being blocked, held back in all kinds of ways from moving forward. So do me a favor, miss me with all of those welfare queen things. Unless you're going to specify and clarify the ones who are intentionally milking the system, don't even come up with that term. Don't even use it. Because everybody is not a welfare queen or king. I remember one guy, and I said that was going to be it. This is my last one. One guy, I remember, heart condition. You can't see, unless you know the details of his health, you wouldn't know that he's sick. You wouldn't be able to look at his face and tell how he's feeling. I know this directly, what I witnessed with my own 2 eyes. So on the days that he's feeling okay, and he can get up and he can drive to the store and he can, go through his little town that he lives in, small town, and say hello to the people and just do whatever it is he can do for that day, and then come back home and crawl into bed because he's exhausted from just, an hour and a half, 2-hour drive through town just saying hello to people. So for that little time that you saw him, you thought he was okay. So you're going to cut off his benefits and tell him go get a job. And what is he going to do? In survival mode, he's going to try to work. And what is that probably going to do? Go ahead and take him on out of here. I can't tell you how many people are in that situation right now who want to do better, who've been turned down from all the programs that are in place to help them do better. Not these programs that are listed here, not these entitlement programs, but other programs that they don't tell everybody about. They've been turned down from those. And out of survival, if they want to go try to do anything, what happens? Then you turn around and say they're milking the system, they're frauding the system, they're cheating the system, they're being a welfare king or welfare queen. Miss me with it. Y'all gonna have to come better. The bottom line, people, United States citizens have collectively allowed this shutdown to happen. And why do I say that? Because you sat back and did nothing for too long. And I've said this in one of my other videos. You worried about Cardi B, Jay-Z, Beyonce, who has the biggest house, who has the best car, who's driving the nicest truck, who's got the new J's. You worried about all of that. You worried about who can dance the best. You worried about, no, I'm going to stay over here because I don't want the black people to come over here. You worried about, well, I need my kids to homeschool because I don't want them going to school with black folk. I don't like the education. You worried about you. And we all know when you allow an injustice to occur, that injustice is going to come around and bite you in the butt too. When you see somebody suffer or go without or hurt and you say and do nothing, that same suffering, hurt that they're experiencing, chances are going to come back and bite you in the butt. So now, and I know a few of you who have, got your little bunkers underground and you're preparing for doomsday and all that other stuff, all are going to are paying the price for this shutdown. How many workers basically going to work as slaves right now? I guess you can call them indentured servants, and they're getting IOUs. That ain't even worth the little piece of paper that's getting printed on. I don't know if they're getting IOUs. I just said that. But they're being forced to go to work. Not getting a dime. Not getting no kind of income. How are they supposed to live? Is it their fault that they don't have enough money saved up to sustain some foolishness like this? Is it? Yeah, I guess you could say, yeah, they should have had some money saved. But let's be real. When you got rents going high, foods going high, gas staying ridiculously high. Yeah, recently, oddly enough, gas was shot down lowest it's been in years. And it stayed down for a while. It's starting to creep itself back up. I got to wonder if that was part of the plan. Was that part of a plan? People better wake up and wake up quick. You're going to have to start getting with each other, supporting each other. Because, yeah, it's getting real. And collectively, citizens of the United States allowed it to get real. When we allow these politicians to do everything they've been doing. And just to say, I'm not voting because I know it's crooked, that wasn't enough. Because just because the presidential election is crooked, doesn't mean the people at your local, city, county, government level do not care. Those tend to care a little bit more. And you can affect a change in your day-to-day life. Even if you affect a change that means there's less local taxes you paying, that's more money that could have gone into, kept in your household to be able to save for a bad time like this. Or in education. If you went and elected the board of education in your district or in your area, then you could have affected in some kind of change for your kids in school. So it's not enough to say, I don't vote because, it's all rigged and they're going to put in who they want in politicians and Dems and Republicans. Yeah, I get that. But I also get you have to live at a local level as well. And all of those are not to the same level of corruption as a lot of the federal level stuff. With that, I'm out. Blessings to everybody.